So these people were, you know, they did something crucial that changed the course of history in terms of like granting us independence, finding a new identity, and explaining that we are all one global people. And I feel like we kind of gotta like, redefine our history because we're so locked into the idea of ourselves being, you know, captured black folks that are spread around the world, but we don't necessarily think about all the strides that we've taken ourselves towards our own independence.
An African lifestyle.
Welcome to Pan-African Lifestyle, where we rep the motherland. We post content regularly and invite you to subscribe and share. If you're a pal, that's a Pan-African Lifestyler.
They do not tell us that we should unite, that we are all as good as we are able to make ourselves.
Typically, like a lot of people, people with like actual relationships to Ghana and just black people at large, like a lot of times travel at the end of the year and go spend their time in Ghana, get, a cultural restart and refresh and education on their history. And what we trying to do is use that convening time to like, offer a real experience and like, and like what we have to offer globally as black people. Kind of just giving us a time to be in confidence and just have some conversations that we need to have. It really helped me understand my identity in terms of like who I am as a black man in the world. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times our context as black people, we derive it from the nation that we're from. So like black folks in Jamaica feel very strongly Jamaican. Black folks in the UK feel very English. And black folks in America feel American. Even if we don't love America or the system, like we still identify by being black people with this experience. But we're everywhere and we are all the same people. And I think like normally a context to Africa or of Ghana is like you understand its role in the slave trade. It's got like some of the biggest slave castle in Africa is in Cape Coast in Ghana. But you don't always get the history unless you get there in terms of like what some of the recent history of Ghana is. Like Ghana's the first country in West Africa or in sub-Saharan Africa period to get its independence from colonialism. So they fought the British and won and announced that they were a free state, and all these other countries start to follow suit. You know what I'm saying? Like at that point, there's a lot of civil unrest in the Americas, and people like Maya Angelou, Malcolm X, the Kings, like these different, important people that went on to do much greater work later came and got influenced in Ghana and came back and spread that knowledge, and that's why you see so much revolution happening in the 60s. So these people were, they did something crucial that changed the course of history in terms of like granting us independence, finding a new identity, and explaining that we are all one global people. And I feel like we kind of gotta like, redefine our history because we're so locked into the idea of ourselves being, captured black folks that are spread around the world, but we don't necessarily think about all the strides that we've taken ourselves towards our own independence. I think the main pitfall that we've had as a people in the past is, so this idea of Pan-Africanism, like us being connected to the motherland and having global connections worldwide and looking out for each other as black folks. At the turn of the century in the early 1900s, late 1800s, there was a lot of like, it was built with good intentions, but a lot of like displacement that happened because of black folks with more wealth or, just more economically sound were moving to West Africa in hopes of like building this, building themselves up and having, But what happened was because of capitalism and because of like, just a mismanagement of an idea, a lot of like tensions grew, and now there's still to this day civil unrest in Liberia between the descendants of black Americans and people that are, local people that have been there for generations. And so I think when I talk about like my ideas for global blackness, I think of Pan-Africanism as kind of like in a new way, a neo-Pan-Africanism. That means that it's not about taking up physical space. It's not about going out to Ghana and buying up a bunch of cheap land or trying to be, more economically sound in another space. It's about being able to support each other. So if we could build these friendships and these relationships without having to like, be capitalist or trying to take advantage of every situation, then I think we'll be fine. But I do want people to understand that this doesn't even just stop in Ghana. Continue to find spaces and create spaces for black people to be in community, and to not always be about what's most advantageous to me economically, but also what's going to be the most sustainable connection that we could build. Black folks, we were not given the choice to how we spread, but because we're such strong people spiritually, we've lasted so many different attacks and so many different transitional points in our history. Everybody should do what they want to do, but I think our strength lies in us being able to come together as a community in America, with our base being in Africa. So in most cases, if there's a crime or atrocity generated towards a people in America or any country, the diasporic people of that nation or of that tribe come together and they say, this is wrong, this isn't just, but they also reach back to their homeland and say, hey, we need support on this issue. Right. And they'll pressure America, both from the people that are within the community in America and from the outside land, to add rules and laws that'll protect them. When black folks go through it, it's just us black folks going through it. Right. But if we had the 54 countries in Africa, the 54 militaries, and not just in Africa, but also in Jamaica and in the islands and in the black communities and other places, we would be the strongest. We would be as strong as we could possibly.
Thanks for tuning into Pan-African Lifestyle. Share your thoughts in the comments section and follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Pan-African Lifestyle to be inspired. For awesome PAL merch, check out panafricanlifestyle.com/shop. Keep repping the motherland.
Pan-African lifestyle.